So let me get this straight. Star Fox released in 1993 for the SNES, then Star Fox 64 acted as a reboot of the series, and a little later on we got Star Fox 64 3D, which was a remake of Star Fox 64 on the 3DS. 5 years later and we get Star Fox Zero, which is also technically a reboot, kind of similar to 64, although it is a bit different. And now in 2026, 10 years later, we have Star Fox, another remake of 64 releasing for the Switch 2. And I'm not gonna lie, this looks pretty good, but I do have some concerns. Firstly, this was so random. I genuinely was just about to go to sleep. I messaged Miyamoto goodnight, went to turn off my phone, and then I saw a post about a Star Fox Direct, and my eyes widened. And then I saw the Direct was literally happening. As I saw that post, my eyes widened even more, and then I saw the game is releasing next month, and I was just so confused. I watched the whole Direct and couldn't sleep for another few hours because I was just trying to process all of this. This is such a Nintendo thing to do, and I blame them for me being so tired right now. One of the first things I noticed is how beautiful this actually looks. Like, it really does look stunning. The redesigns of the main characters is probably the second biggest talking point after the fact this is the 28th remake and remaster and reboot and retelling and reimagining of Star Fox 64, whatever the heck you want to call it. There's so many terms nowadays, and like most redesigns, it's always going to be controversial. I mean, the DK redesign was quite controversial, but I'm not gonna lie, I do quite like these designs. Like, when I first saw it, it didn't really bother me. I thought they looked fine. They remind me a bit of the puppets on the original box art, and I quite like that. But Falco, there's something off about him. I don't know how to explain it. He just looks like a twat. It seems like Nintendo have added quite a lot to this remake as well, and I am especially excited to try the online mode. It really does look good. I've never used game chat and don't really care for it, but the whole thing with the filter or overlay of the different characters and tracking your mouth and other facial movements is really, really cool. It mimics the video chats the crew have with each other in the game, and it's a very cool touch and very creative. One thing I am concerned about though, and just overall curious about, I suppose, is how this style of game will perform with modern audiences. What we have to remember, although Star Fox 64 sold very well, that was in the 90s. Most kids and most people in general don't really know anything about the Star Fox series. It's arguably not been a relevant series in a very long time. Most people will potentially just know Fox as a character in Smash Bros, and kids will likely only recognize him as the funny Foxman in the Mario Galaxy movie. So this new remake is gonna be an entry point for a lot of people. And the whole rail shooter genre, I don't know if it will be as popular as it used to be. I can see what Nintendo are doing. They are really trying to bring Star Fox back and want it to be a big series. I mean, they tried in 2016, but it didn't go down too well. They put Fox McCloud in the Mario Galaxy movie. Great idea, brought a lot of attention to the character, and it was obvious a new game was on the horizon. Nintendo obviously thought to themselves, Star Fox 64. It's the most loved game in the series. Let's play it safe, let's do a remake, release it shortly after the Mario Galaxy movie, and if it does well, we can go from there. I get that, but at the same time, I really feel like this should have been a new entry and they should have switched up the game a lot. You can argue whatever direction this series should take, like being able to freely fly around in missions, or if they did stick to just the rail shooter genre, at least refine it more and have a different story for crying out loud. Some people may want more exploration, not necessarily open world, but whatever. I'm not going to argue about what direction the series should take, but I think at the very least, most of us can agree, if this is a new beginning, like the title suggests, it's just titled Star Fox, that to me is them saying we are starting again. So I would have expected a big new story, a longer one too, and maybe them experimenting a bit more. Again, I get Nintendo are trying to play it safe. They have tried to experiment with the Star Fox series quite a few times and it hasn't always gone down so well. But playing it safe isn't always necessarily the right thing to do. Sometimes you need to take risks. Going back to Donkey Kong, because this series was in a similar boat. He recently had a huge comeback, a redesign, and it had been a similar wait between mainline games excluding ports and Starlink if we even count that. When DK had his big comeback, they didn't play it safe and make another 2D country style game or a remake. They instead made a big, bold, new 3D game, the first in a while, with so many great new ideas and characters, and guess what? It worked. It sold very well, and I would expect Donkey Kong is going to get somewhat regular releases now, at least I hope. If they just played it safe, I don't think DK would be in this position right now. I want to make this crystal clear. I am not mad about this game. I am actually very excited to play this, and I am grateful Nintendo hasn't given up on this series. And I love Star Fox 64. I actually played through the original on NSO not so long ago, and I remember having a blast playing it on my 3DS. It seems like they have put a fair amount of effort into this remake as well, and the price, at least over here in the UK, is actually quite surprising. I was fully expecting this to be $49.99, which was the usual retail price for Switch games over here. That's how much the new Yoshi game is going to cost, and I wouldn't have been shocked if it was $69.99, which is the price of most current gen games, although most retailers sell them cheaper over here anyway. But this price, honestly, it seems pretty fair, and it looks like Nintendo really are trying this whole variable pricing thing. You never really know how much they're going to charge for games nowadays. But I am so relieved they have been quite reasonable with the cost of this game, because it would not have sold well if it was £70. I can tell you that for a fact, especially with how short the story is. To sum things up, I am excited for this game. I am hopeful for the future, but would I prefer it to be a completely new game with a new story and maybe evolving the gameplay a bit? Yes. Will I still get this and enjoy it? Yes. I love the Star Fox series, and we've had a lot of dormant series recently be revived, which is something I always love to see. Nintendo is so much more than just Mario and Zelda, although if you just listen to people online you wouldn't think that's the case, because so many people think if we don't get a new Mario and Zelda game every 6 months, Nintendo is dying and there are no games to play and it's all the end of the world. But believe me, there are so many Nintendo series out there that deserve another chance. There is so much potential for some of these games. Let's hope this is at least a new beginning for Star Fox, even if Falco looks like an absolute weirdo.
Sunrise.